Hello world, my name is Brian and this is my video on getting a cancer diagnosis. Now, to start out, I want to say that I'm going to put some tips and things I've learned in here, but they do not constitute any kind of medical uh, advice. Always check with your providers. Um, and like I said, these are largely my opinions and things I've learned, so let's just get that out of the way. So, what was going on? How did I find out I have cancer? Well, I was working for a company that was going through a bankruptcy, and we got bought out by a hospital chain. And so I'm sitting here waiting at the end of last year for um, my new insurance to kick in. So because basically what we had under the other company was a uh, just basically one notch above Obamacare, so it was really not worth pursuing because the only medical complaint I had at the time was I injured my shoulder, and I was sure I had done some damage to my rotator cuff. So what did I do? I waited for the new insurance to kick in, and I went to go see a primary care physician. In the interim, I discovered some swelling in my left hip groin area from lymph nodes. So I went to my PCP and did an examination, and the PCP immediately got me in contact with an oncologist hematologist. Um, and from there, I had a CT scan, a cardiac ultrasound, and a PET scan. Um, I had a surgeon perform a lymph node biopsy where they cut in to the area and took a small sample out and had it sent off uh, for analysis, and it came back with what's called mantle cell lymphoma, which is a form of non-Hodgkin's B cell type lymphoma. It is uh, no longer considered rare as it is uncommon now. Um, so during that first month, we're about April 1st of this year, I had the lymph node biopsy, and then shortly after that, a bone marrow biopsy where they take a large needle and go through your back into your pelvic bone and withdraw bone marrow, and it sent that out for an analysis, and it turned out it was showing up in there, but very slightly. And then my PET scan revealed that uh, there not only the lymph nodes in my groin, but along my spine and excuse me, my aorta, which is the main vessel that runs down your heart to feed your legs, is they were also inflamed. However, not near to the degree as the lymph nodes in my groin. So, still in April, I start my first chemo treatment, which is bendamustine. Uh, Link in the description with Rituxan, which is a chimera drug. What it does is it has mouse and human antibodies in it, And let me tell you that the reaction I had was pretty fierce. It was not exactly an allergic reaction, but it was. Um, I had to have all the rescue drugs put on board um, because I had broken out in hives from my scalp, down my face, down my neck and chest. And if you know anything about severe allergic reactions, it can become life-threatening with the if it gets involved in your throat. So all that was within the month of April. Since then, I've had two more runs of the BNR and a follow-up PET scan. Now, we'll get back to that in a little bit. I'd like to go over some of the things I've learned since then. Um, First of all, when you get a cancer diagnosis, don't panic. Um, it's not necessarily a death sentence, okay? It all depends on how early you catch it and what degree and what it involves. I know um, a lot of people hear the word cancer and just think that, oh, well, this is it, but it's not true. By far, most people who get a cancer diagnosis survive. So um, there's no reason to think that's the end. Okay, so first and foremost, don't get into a big panic. Um, just take things slowly. Take things one day at a time. Go through the motions with your oncologist. Um, Second thing is I had to learn what mantle cell lymphoma was. Now, I've been in the medical field for 26 years and I've never heard of it. It's an unusual form of cancer. It strikes mostly men in age 50s and up. Three-quarters of the patients are men, although many women can get it too. Um, if you're interested in what mantle cell lymphoma is, there are links in the description. But what it does, it involves a protein um, in the mantle region of your lymph nodes called CD20. And again, all that information can be looked up in the links. Now, most oncologists, hematologists are not familiar with mantle cell lymphoma. So get a recommendation. Okay, try to find somebody who is. Fortunately, I found someone in the city I live in who is familiar and uh, is quite has a quite extensive knowledge. I understand there is a doctor down in Houston who's a rock star among the mantle cell patients. So um, just do your research. Um, and another big one, another big thing I learned is don't be private about it. Don't be private about your diagnosis. Share it with everyone, your family and friends, your coworkers, and your supervisors and HR. These are big helps because there will be a lot of times where you won't be able to go to work, and you'll need to know what to do about uh, gathering information or whatever forms you need to fill out or FMLA. Um, just get as many people involved as possible because that's the best thing you can do. The next thing I want to mention is accept there will be setbacks. Not everything's going to go smooth. Um, but again, going back to what I previously said about sharing with your friends, family, and coworkers and your supervisors, they can pick up the ball and help you along with it a lot. Um, Next up is let your friends and family help, because they're very well-meaning people. They just, you always hear, if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. Okay, sure, do that. Even small things, even things you can handle, but they feel like they need to participate, need to help. That's a good thing because, one piece of advice I got was let your people love on you. Okay. And up to this point, I've been pretty self-sufficient, but, things are just going to get to a point where I'm going to need more and more help. So get you a good caregiver. I have a rock star of a wife who's just awesome about taking care of me and making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Um, and you're never going to be alone through your struggle. So that being said, have a plan for a caregiver for your caregiver. Okay, because they need a break. Get somebody to help out around the house. Get somebody to help with your with your laundry, with your mowing your grass. Give letting your caregiver get out, because it is not fair to let your caregiver get burned out. I know it's not. Um, that's kind of a touchy subject, and it depends on uh, what uh, your individual situation is. But trust me, this is a big thing. Another great thing I've done is find organizations that can help you. Um, for me, is was two of them were um, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, which I'll put a link in the description, who hooked me up with a gentleman out of Texas, out of state, who was able to talk to me. We spoke for about an hour, just a stranger who had been through this, and it was it calmed a lot of my fears when I first started going through this. So another one, good resource, is a Facebook group designed specifically for what you're going through. Um, I've learned a lot of tips and tricks from them. Excuse me. Um, Also, um, I had got good advice about. I've made a post like, what do you do when you want to get out of your head? Because things, like I said before, it's, even though I said don't panic, you're still going to have negative thoughts and fears, and you need help getting advice. So, I got some good pointers from some people in my MCL group on Facebook. So, don't overlook that. Next up is eat and hydrate. When you start going through the chemo, when you start feeling cruddy from the drugs, because they will do that, try to eat as regularly as you can. Because I discovered when I was not feeling like eating, after I would eat something, and it doesn't have to be a full meal, but something light, something to put on your stomach, I feel a lot better. Your body knows it needs food, it needs energy, um, and hydrate. Stay hydrated. That is huge. Your kidneys are being worked with these drugs. You need to flush your system out. It also helps, excuse me, it also helps flush any dead cancer out. So that's a big one right there. And live as normal as possible. Okay? don't let this drag you down and change your routines um, as much as possible. You know, if you have a normal routine, follow it. If you feel a little tired, don't do as much, but follow your normal routines as best you can. Um, you got to accept what's going on and try to remain positive. I know it's not always possible, but like I said, I went to my Facebook group, I went to my and asked questions, and you know, what I have to do to get stuff out of my head. It's important. Try to build yourself up a support group as much as you can. So those are the things I've learned. Where I am now is I've been through 3 cycles of the BNR, and although it stopped um, any of the lymph nodes in my stomach and above my diaphragm, including armpits, neck, wherever they are, um, nothing has developed there, but I still have the large mass in my groin. So now I'm going through a much more powerful regimen. One's called R-CHOP and one is called C. Wait a minute. RD HAC, HAC. And I can put links in the description for those. But those are going to be more powerful. Powerful. And I will have 6 rounds of those, and then in the middle of all that, I'll have another PET scan to see how it's going. And at the end of that will be an auto stem cell transplant, which will be probably the hardest part, which I will have to be hospitalized for, anywhere from 10 days to 6 weeks, depending on, and everybody's different. That's why you don't know how long it's going to be in. So we're looking at next spring for that, which in a way is a good thing because it will help with some of the difficulties I've had with my employment. I'm very lucky that I have understanding managers and HR on my side right now, and I'm very happy about that. So yeah, that's about all I have on this subject. I do excuse me. I will be putting a link to a GoFundMe at the bottom of this video, just because the bills, even though I have good insurance now, the bills are really starting to pile up. So if you feel generous, please don't feel like you have to, but if you feel like generous enough to donate, every little bit will be very much appreciated. Okay, so until next time, everybody, have a great time, have a great life.